recreation now. We're starting winter basketball, ages 5 to 14, dance, ages 5 to 14, limited class size, and wrestling, 5 to 14. You must be 5 years old by December 1st. Go to the Recreation Center or call 386-4070. You can also email Nikisha Scott, Scott at burlingtonnj.us. We'll be talking more about that. The farmers market will continue until October 30th. So there's just a couple more weeks over at JFK Park on Sunday mornings from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. It's a great thing. It's a great idea. Michelle Iwanicki is the force behind them. So go over and get your last local farm fresh produce and crafts and things. Okay, so we have, whom do we have? Hello, it's John, Mike, Jamie.
Hi.
Who?
And Joe, a bait.
And Joe. Hi, y'all.
Hello. Hi, and Mike Zalot. How you doing?
And Mike Zalot, of course. Well, everybody's thinking about we're always thinking about the Burlington Island, but we're really thinking about the Burlington Island lately. So, we were having the dredge issue, and I think we'll be talking about that in a big way in the coming weeks. We're a little in a state of shock because we really had no knowledge until last week that, there will be activity now, possibly, hopefully not, by the Army Corps of Engineers. But let's just talk about the island in general. People, still don't know what is the history of Burlington Island. When did it start to be used?
Well, I'll turn that over to the historian over here.
Well, the first settlers arrived in 1624 and settled on the end nearest to Burlington-Bristol Bridge. And in 1682, Robert Stacy received title from Governor Andros in New York. And when he found out two people had set up a housing over there, he turned it over to the city, and this makes the board, it was controlled by the Board of Island Managers, which makes it the oldest continual educational trust in the United States.
Who were those people who resided there?
Peter Jagot and Henry Jacobs were the two settlers that were there. Jagot had a tavern on. Pardon?
Were they British or Swedish?
I believe they were of German descent, because Jacobs has SE on the end.
Yeah, there were all kinds of groups in New Jersey. It wasn't really an English colony necessarily at that point.
Not necessarily. There were Swedes, there were Dutch, there was mostly the Quakers.
Actually, I will contradict my dad because I have found out information since then that Burlington Island was considered the capital of New Sweden and also the capital of New Netherlands at one point. Not for very long, but to the point where in the Netherlands, Burlington Island is studied in their history classes.
Youth triumphs over age.
Yeah, and when was that? That was also circa 1600, early 1600?
Yes. The island was Cornelius May, who you may know from Cape May, came down the Delaware River and landed there before he went to Cape May. He came down from New York.
And of course, we're assuming this is all about Europe. I guess the Lenapes would say they had been there for a while too. How long were the Indians there?
The Indians were there until, I believe, 1823, when they signed a treaty that they would give up the hunting and fishing rights on the island.
And when did do you know historically, when did they arrive?
The Indians were there probably from prehistoric times. They have arrowheads and stuff going back 2,000 years.
Yeah, I've heard, the first maybe presence of Native Americans in North America, 40,000 years, maybe in Alaska. And then I've heard 5,000-10,000 years. They've been around, they've likely spread into the whole continent.
Yes, the Peabody Museum in Massachusetts has 20,000 artifacts that were excavated on the island, and they go back to prehistoric time as well as the Swede and Dutch settlements.
And in fact,
and they're still there. They're still finding things. This has not been a completely excavated site.
Uh, the archaeological study was last done in the late 80s, but there are people discovering things, arrowheads, Spanish coins back to 1720s, and other things on the island.
In fact, the mayor had suggested that we see that we can maybe bring those back to Burlington. The board had suggested that before, and the mayor said that the city would be willing to see if possibly we could bring them to perhaps the Lyceum
Lyceum.
Hall.
Yes, where we have a museum.
Yeah.
By the way, it's the size of it.
Peabody in the past has
But we'll have to rotate the collection, I think, if you have 20,000 things.
Yes.
the Peabody,
10, 12 maybe.
Yeah.
the Peabody Museum at one time indicated that if it was a protective area, they would be willing to loan the material to the city.
Yeah, it's incredible. So then, so the island, I guess it was always a strategic place. You know, it's a place that the whole both sides of the river. Across the river, but it's only a little short distance from the land.
It protected both sides of the river
Any boats coming up?
and any boats coming up the river.
Yeah, yeah, strategically for military, right? And there's a vantage point. How did it become New Jersey's and not Pennsylvania?
It was under control of Governor Andros of New York, who controlled all the islands in the river, and he's the one that granted title.
And that was in 18, I guess, when the
1680.
1680. And then we made the treaty with Philadelphia not to claim any longer, and it was under the surveyors. Then moving forward, what happened with the island? How was it used in the 1800s?
Well, in 1852, the board of island managers had decided to sell all the island or part of the island, and it went to the legislature, which gave us our present-day charter. They sold half of it for $20,100 to a conglomeration made of Elias Boudinot, probably the original Elias Boudinot's grandson or son, and they sold off half of it. And the money went to provide for a school loan for St. Mary's Hall.
And what was it used for when it was sold? I mean, what was the land used for?
They held up on it for a few years, and then they sold it.
Farming.
And then I'm not sure where it went from there.
Well, I've seen old pictures. I've seen what obviously is a farm or squares of agriculture, and then of course it became an amusement park at some point. What's the timeline on that?
The amusement park was there from the 1890s to the 1930s, and it burned down twice. It burned down, and then they burned down the remnants, except for the carousel, of course.
Except for the carousel and the Greyhound was the largest.
It was the largest on the northeast corridor.
That must have been amazing. And I've seen the picture. So you went to the island by paddle boat or a steamboat or something.
Yes.
Well, I guess you could swim there in those days when the river was not dredged.
I believe so, yeah.
In 1910, the river froze solid, and they were doing car races on the river. So they probably could have walked over in the winter.
Yeah. So how deep? Do you know how deep the river was then and how deep it is now? I know it's 45 feet now. I heard
I have no idea on that, sorry.
somebody mentioned that. I was just in a conversation, and I think that's what it is, or that's what it was made to be, so that it could be a good shipping navigational route. But yeah, my parents, when they grew up, they talked about skating on the river, and, swimming in the river in the 30s, probably.
There's a lot of information if anybody's interested, including pictures on the Advocate for Burlington Island page. The Advocates page is on Facebook, and we use that to relay information to the general public.
So give us that again. I go to Facebook/what?
If you go to Facebook and go to the search bar, you look up Advocates for Burlington Island.
Advocate for Burlington Island. And you have a website also.
Yeah, we're working on getting it cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, but that's so we can look up Burlington Island on Google and we can find out
Yes.
all kinds of information and pictures.
And in
I
fact,
dressed up to go to Burlington Island and ride the rides. And, that Victorian era, you dressed, all the way to your cuffs and ankles. Everything was covered, and parasols. Even a bathing suit was like a full suit.
in fact, one of the lines that I found in an old document said that the Burlington Islands was much better than the Thames for quality. And that leads back to the dredging issue.
Yeah, it was over, and Beverly, was a shore town. This is, the history of Beverly. I think Burlington too. Those mansions on the river were the little houses of the really big mansions over on the main line. So where we'd go to LBI and have a house now. In those days, LBI did not exist really. It was an idea, and Beverly was the shore. Burlington was the shore. You come here.
In fact, we are hoping that the island will again be the shore. We have a Karen Robbins, who's with the Woolman Company, and they're making plans to help develop the island by 2018.
That's great. And it's funny. We had Angelo Alberto was our master planner, and he's really an architect and a visionary. But he helped us. He stooped to do our master plan for us, which won a state award. His question when you're designing things was, remember when we, and then the answer to that is what you should be doing in the future because
Right.
history resists changes.
Hi. This is
Around the tree to the north side, if you try to make a road that goes around the tree to the south side, people won't like it. They won't feel it. And if you want it to be successful, you need to look backward to
Yep.
design forward.
This is Joe. I'm so glad you brought that up because your past does become your future. And while Burlington Island was a recreation destination in the 20s, we're also making efforts to make it a recreation destination in the future. In addition just to a recreation destination, it could be a place where our wounded warriors and our veterans can come to as part of a healing treatment. And we are...
Way back, it's really the question is, what did the Native Americans do? I'm sure our train bed and our train stop, that was a stagecoach stop, probably was a Native American route if you go way back. There's a reason we like to go up that line. They probably did it, thousands of years ago.
Yes,
That may be
well...
the answer to, what were the Native Americans doing on Burlington?
One point I'd like to make how interesting it was in Burlington, how we pay respect and honor to the Indians. Our city flag has that meeting with the Indians right on there.
Yes, and according to the Quaker, histories, we had pretty good relations with the Native Americans. The Swedes and English, not so
Yes.
good. Almost genocidal.
Those relations...
The French were middle, but the Quakers were, very equal with them.
Yeah, those relations with the Quakers were so good that Chief Occonequan is buried behind the Quakers building on High Street.
Yes. And did you know, one of my I gave a tour to a Quaker group, and they told me that when Grant was president, his Indian agents, the people who negotiated and, liaised to the Indians, only Quakers were used because the natives kind of only trusted Quakers. That, everybody else, not so good. So anyway, what did the Native Americans do on Burlington Island before we ever got here?
They hunted and fished.
They didn't reside or have.
We believe there may have been burials on there also.
Interesting. And the lake, was there a lake there always, or was it
No.
something there?
The lake was created
Water. Dredge.
when Warner dredged in the 1930s
30s
to the 50s.
But there was no lake at all before that.
No.
Oh, really?
The lake
I
was
thought maybe
created-
something small that got enlarged.
It was dug into the aquifer, which means that water doesn't come from the river, it comes from underneath. It's fresh water,
Yeah.
which means that water is
You
absolutely
used to draw
pure.
water from there, right, for the city? There were,
Yeah, yes, there are wells over there, which the city used to get the water, and it was much cleaner than what we get now from the
Is it
from the
still
river.
virgin water, so to speak?
It's spring fed.
Yes.
It's the Springfed Lake, and at one point it was an alternative source of a water supply for the residents of Burlington.
Some wells get ground contamination. I know at Edgewood Park, because of Superfund sites and things, there are nitrates, lead,
Right.
Not
other things. How's the water in the island?
Now
not the
that-
case with this because it goes down all the way deep, all the way into the aquifer.
Really?
Yes.
You could probably drink right out of the lake.
It has, we started to do testing and it had been stopped because of
The mayor's edict.
certain issues that had happened. I'm sure you all remember what the issues were,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So that's yeah. There are a lot of issues. It's a complicated place with everybody thinking they have some sort of dibs on that, this and that, and history, archaeology, water, eagles, sturgeons, the city, the island board, the state. It's a kind of a battleground of interest. But in light of all that, that's what you guys are. You're charged with developing the island. You know, the city, I believe, has an agreement that you take the lead, the city follows.
We
Yeah.
could always use some volunteers to help out with the island board. We're always looking for volunteers. Right now, we're looking for a pro bono attorney. Even though the board is very short on funds, during the last year and a half, they managed to raise $2,500 to put into the board's account. So if there's an attorney out there that would like to help out, and we have 2 meetings a month, I'd sure like to get them to give us a call or contact us through the advocates page.
and
Interesting. We're going to be interviewing Kevin Walker, who is a public defender, as in free, for the Burlington County Bar Association, who are having a free day of service, law service, on October 21st. Maybe there might be good fish in there if these people are pro bono minded.
We'll send somebody over.
They're dealing with wills and bankruptcies and expungements, but maybe they can help you with your issues, or a team of them could take turns and help you.
That would be
Anyway, so
fantastic. Thank you.
People say, what are you guys going to do with the island? They ask me, because I work for the city, is if there's some secret plan we have, and they can tell them what is the secret plan.
we do have a plan in place. It's actually on our webpage right now. It's on a PDF. Anybody can go and download it.
What is your webpage, by the way? We didn't say that.
It is,
BOMIA.
oh, it's so complicated to remember. If you go to our Twitter page, it has a link at the top of our Twitter page. Our Twitter is Burlington BOIM, which is really easy to remember. And if you go to there, there's a link at the top of the Twitter page, which will get you there.
Joe, the millennial, has grabbed his smart device and he's pouncing on this. So we'll let you know what the website is. So again, I mean, in general, what is the current concept that we're looking at? I know Karen Robbins, and I hear villages and camping and passive and I hear those words.
Therapeutic
And
and
access is
recreational,
always
cultural.
Well, right now, it's been updated a little bit since the PDF that's up there. It's a wellness center where you can go and sort of relax from the everyday world. You can get like massages, you can go steam. There'll be an amphitheater where you can have like sort of concerts. You can have, you can go and learn crafts. You can do all sorts of, sort of stuff that you used to do like at Rancocas Village,
Yeah, one of the other
but on a bigger scale.
One of the other concepts just recently discovered at the Wood Street Fair was from a veteran who brought an article showing where a local VFW has created a camp for the children of VFW veterans, as well as the general public, where these kids come to camp without any electronics. They learn how the flag is raised in the mornings. They learn patriotic activities, as well as the normal biking, and all the other things similar to the Boy Scouts. And by the way, the Boy Scouts were on the island many, many years ago. We have pictures of them with their camps. So, it's a work in progress. We think that we can make it a recreational destination. We believe that we can respect the bald eagle who's chosen to make Burlington Island his home, and that we think we can bring in activities which will help the downtown businesses as well. So it's an exciting time. We're looking for input. We're looking for individuals that have creative skills that can come forward and help us with our mission to move forward.
Yeah, it's great out there. I went out once with you guys, and it reminded me of when I grew up in the 60s and 50s even. It's 60 years back in time. The vegetation, everything else developed wherever I go. It's either planted or built. When you go there,
Yes.
you really go back, at least as far as I can remember. I mean, it's probably like that forever, but it takes me back to the 50s and 60s and 70s, I guess, where you could still, walk around and then in wooded areas and get lost. So it's really just a great place for that, and that's a great idea, Joe. So thank you, and everybody out there, go to the Board of Island Managers, find them on the web. There are many ways, and especially if you have legal skills. But I think anybody, right, with ideas, energy, the place needs to be cleaned and loved, taken care of.
And we would
advocated for, and
yes.
That's a great cause.
And we sincerely appreciate the mayor and council's support at a time when we need it so badly. And those things that you just mentioned, we're trying to save them so that other generations can experience the same thing that you just described that were out there in the 50s and 60s. We can't live in a concrete world. We have to save some of this so that our kids understand, what other parts of the country are here for you to enjoy. And it's 500 feet away. So hopefully the mayor will continue his support along with council, and we'll save the island.
Yeah, and we'll be following this. And again, keep in touch with the island board on Facebook, and also the city of Burlington and Jay on Facebook. We're going to be monitoring the situation closely with the Army Corps and their contractors. And we have a difference of opinion, to say the least.
Yes.
And it's not going to be a slam dunk. I think the mayor supports you and appreciates everything. You guys do a lot of work for no pay. It's all for love, and it is it's worth it too. I understand. I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's inspiring, so I understand why you do want to give so much of your time and energy and money to this cause. And it's someday I'm sure it's going to be worth it again. I think all things take a circle, so. You hit bottom, but you always come back. Camden, New York,
Yep.
Jersey City, Burlington, it's always a cycle.
Yes.
So you're in the rough part of the cycle right now, but that's the exciting part. And when you turn the corner, it's going to be really great to see what you guys have accomplished.
Thank you very much.
So thank you all. That is Jamie Zala, president of the Island Board, her father, Mike Zala, who was the historian for the board also.
Yes.
And secretary.
Obviously. And Joe Bate, who everybody knows has been everything in Burlington forever. So thank you all again for all of your energy. And,
You're welcome.
The mayor,
Thank you.
I'm sure he definitely does appreciate your work. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.